Alright everyone, now we talk about TikTok and user data privacy, which doesn't exist in China. Right now the goofies are surprised that TikTok was supplying the Chinese Communist government with data fresh out of their servers. There is a deal it was originally mentioned by Trump, by the way, just so that all the liberals that are upset about this, BuzzFeed's audience doesn't exactly lean to the right, by the way, just so you're aware, Trump attempted to stop this from happening. TikTok is a data gathering honeypot, just like Facebook essentially has devolved into now. It's post-timeline, that was the only real purpose, was for Zuckerberg to package user data and sell it to ad firms overseas over and over again, bundled with contracts so that they couldn't resell it. It's great when you can take the same roll of emails and sell them 100 different times. Certainly works better than the ad-driven internet model, so hey, you gotta respect the grift, I suppose. You're worried, number one, even though all your kids are on TikTok. Well, not really, but a lot of TikTok is just bots anyway. But there are a lot of younger users that use it, and the dumb demographic that doesn't understand the importance of any semblance of privacy. The last generation that kind of understands that are millennials. We're the final generation that wasn't encouraged to put our name and shit online and show our ID to the people who own the friendly website. I remember when you weren't supposed to tell anyone your name, don't tell them where you live, don't give them any personal data, don't talk about anything personal, keep it very topical. That was the advice back in the 90s or the early 2000s on the internet. Fast forward to social media and everyone's grandmas clamoring to put the most personal aspects of their life online. The fact is that Generation Z was raised up in a world in which user privacy on the internet was not only a joke, not only not encouraged, but actively discouraged. You can't even use many mainline sites anymore without divulging deeply personal info. If the site has an ad functionality, you have to give them fucking tax information, your social security number and stuff. How long before little kids get snookered into giving the Chicoms that? I have a feeling that this goes beyond simply money. And it's surprising to me that anyone's surprised this is happening. No. The Chinese Communist company that is entirely beholden to the Chinese Communist government coughs up data when the Chinese Communist government asks them to do so? Say it ain't so, Joe. Here's why you shouldn't be surprised, firstly. U.S. firms have done similar things for a while. Facebook, Apple, Google, etc. If U.S. firms that are bound by at least the basic premise of user data privacy can cough it up to a government that at least in theory is supposed to respect the right to privacy. It doesn't, it ignores it constantly, but in theory is legally hobbled in its use of user data. If they're doing it for fun and profit and for intel purposes, which I think goes again beyond the money part, and the taxpayer money is funding this, by the way. You're funding the government spying on you through fascistic third parties. Then how much more would a Chinese communist government and firm do that? Why would it be strange that they were doing that? I warned of it some time ago. TikTok is just a spying app that's disguised as being a Vine knockoff. Yeah, okay, there are people dancing there. Some of them think that they're famous even though the vast majority of their viewers aren't even real people. They're fucking bots. They're not going to do an audit in that country of the number of bots. The whole goal was to pump up the numbers to get the younger generation to use their site instead of continuing to use US sites. That's why YouTube Shorts, while growing in popularity, admittedly, is used by fewer people in that younger demographic. China wants an entire generation of Americans to divulge as much personal material as possible, give them footage for making deepfakes, give them their phone numbers so that they can be, tied to user data, their names, etc., that you need to give to use TikTok. What does this allow you to do? It allows you to extort the US government. Hey, we have private data, messages, and everything else from some tens of millions of your citizens. They wait. It's like a sleeper cell sort of thing. You wait 10 years till all of those teenagers and young 20-somethings, the college and high school kids, and in some cases younger, have moved on, they've graduated, they've got jobs and marriages, and they've got loans, and they've got businesses and shit like that. You wait until they're the productive core of your society. They're in their late 20s now to their early 30s. They're that core that's doing a lot of the productivity. And then you tell the US government, oh, by the way, We've basically got all of the dirt on tens of millions of these people. We'll ruin marriages, we'll ruin jobs, we'll ruin business enterprises, we'll force the law enforcement issue. We know who's selling drugs, we know who's buying drugs, we know who did something, we know who jaywalks, we know it all. It's all here on TikTok. We've got it all. A ticking time bomb for you, Uncle Sam. Why don't you back off on those tariffs that you've been talking about for the last few days? Why don't you get the fuck out of the Spratly region? Why don't you recognize China's right to invade Taiwan? Do you think that this is an impossible scenario? I don't. I'll give you several reasons why. Number one, it's possible, profitable, and would not necessarily trigger a war. China could hold you over a barrel using that data and the data on older Americans, by the way, bundled from Facebook. Don't tell me that it's non-identifiable. That's horseshit. We know better. They can extort Apple, by the way. Apple is relying on its position in China to keep existing. Hey, Tim Cook, do you want to lose half of your revenue this quarter and completely destroy your company? Or do you want to give us this bundle of data on these dissidents that we really, really want? Of course they'll cough it up. I'm sure that this has already happened behind closed doors. They create a massive dossier on citizens, and then they tell the U.S. government, we're going to ruin so many lives, riots will break out, people will go crazy. People, when we reveal it to the world, the people will demand that you pony up what we want. So do what we want. That's number one. It's profitable. It's possible for it to be done. That's important. If it's impossible, of course, it doesn't apply. And it probably wouldn't trigger a war. If anything, it would trigger people within the United States or other countries to rise up and demand that you just do what the Chicom say. Oh my God, please don't tell my kids that I'm into this weird kink stuff. Hey, please don't tell my girlfriend that I banged her sister. Hey, please don't tell my boss that I completely ridicule and backstab him behind his back and give info to his competitors and shit like that. Don't tell my neighbors that I've committed several felonies. They don't know that I used to burglarize homes. They would demand it. That's number one. It's possible to do. Number two, our Congress is already compromised by China. You think they'll stand in and defend the average citizen? You watch. I think this is a ticking data time bomb that's going to blow up in the West face if we don't do something right quick. We should have banned TikTok when Trump suggested it. He was called fascistic for proclaiming so. Well, he's being corroborated. He was right once again. TikTok is horseshit. I think that the best thing for it would be if Elon Musk gets Twitter and restarts Vine to compete with them. Drain some of that younger user base away. Rebrand Vine and bring that back. The millennials would be all on board with it. They'd much rather Elon Musk run it, I think, than the Chinese communists. And if the leftoids want to give their personal data to the Chicoms, fucking let them. That'd be hilarious. It'd be funny. The Chinese unleash their data time bomb, and 90% of the people that are impacted, that have their jobs lost, their communities torn apart, their marriages ended and shit, are just a bunch of leftoids. So it cripples the U.S. left, and people who never use TikTok are sitting there laughing at them. Could happen. That'd probably be the fun outcome. That's about all. Peace out.